All right. Hello, everybody. I am Z Garcia. With me today is Randy Kirby. What's happening?
That's me.
That's you. Uh, if you've
Hello,
been,
folks. How is everyone out there?
everybody is probably fine. If anybody's been paying attention, we had Ellen Kirby on here a couple of weeks ago. She's back in the chat, by the way. She's not gone.
She's not.
Can't get
She'll
rid of
never
her
be
that
gone.
easily. Uh,
Never get rid of her.
but today we have the worst half, Randy.
I would agree with that. I would
You
I would
have to.
get on board with
You
that.
have
Sure.
to. All right, let me see what's going on in the comments here. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Uh,
hello.
lots of folks
Oh,
saying
Mr.
hi. Cool.
Samuel bought Castles of Burgundy. I'm glad that Castles of Burgundy is still being purchased to this day. It's a classic at this point.
Nice. I got Heather saying hello. Hi, Heather. Got Nick. Gator Dave, of course.
Gator.
Lots of people. All right, very nice. So, folks, as always, say welcome again. Throw us some questions so we have something to talk about, and if not, we'll just make it up.
Sounds good to me.
Just talk about whatever we want to. I just did a little cooking today. We were talking about that before we started. I made a steak,
A
and
steak.
and then Randy asked me what
I heard
kind of
that you prepared it well.
then
Yeah,
Randy
that's right.
then Randy asked me what kind of cut. I'm like a steak cut. I don't know.
A
It was
steak cut.
it's a
That's all right.
piece
Was
of
it pretty thick? Was it pretty thin?
no, it's
Was it widespread?
fairly thin.
Okay. Was it narrow?
No, just like
Okay.
that, like a
Sure.
not a big thing and not like a slab.
Sure.
So I don't really
And it's
like
not
cooking
pretty thick.
those. I don't
Okay.
like rare meat, so I
Sure.
like thin cuts so they'll cook through easily.
Right. Right.
Anyway,
It's so much easier to cook them that way too. Yeah. Especially if you like them. I
yeah,
mean, if you like them well done or done, getting a big, thick tenderloin, that takes a lot of, it takes
nah,
some time.
I would just butterfly it anyway. So
Oh, sure.
Kabuki Kit,
Yeah. We had
hello.
sushi. We had yellowtail, spicy yellowtail, and spicy tuna. And spicy yellowtail, if you have not had that for sushi before, comes highly recommended from the Kirby household.
But
It's
you guys
really
didn't
good.
make
Very
sushi.
buttery
You
and
got
seafood.
sushi. You didn't make it.
I've made. I actually. I have made sushi on a couple of occasions. I
That's
have the little
cool.
bamboo rollers
Do
and
you?
everything.
That's one
Yeah,
thing I
it's a
haven't.
lot of work though, and it's actually pretty hard to source the meat. Because you need like. There's no such thing as sushi grade tuna, but you have to get tuna from a reputable place
Yeah,
that you would trust eating raw from.
yeah, yeah.
So we have a fish place down the road that will special order it for us, and so every once in a while we'll do that.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never done that. Never tried to make sushi. I don't like
The
raw
pain in the neck,
sushi though.
though,
We
right?
talked about that. For me, it would
Yeah,
be like something that's cooked. It looks neat to make. It doesn't look that difficult. I guess it. Yeah, I guess.
the difficulty comes in the rolling and then the cutting. So if you
Really?
don't have a decent enough knife, like cutting through sushi is terrible.
It'll
But
get
you can kind
messy.
of do a
Yeah.
couple of yeah. If you have a real good knife, you can kind of just keep it clean and cut through real easy. Otherwise, some people will wrap it in like some kind of a wax paper or something. There's a couple different or saran wrap. A lot of people will do saran wrap
That
and
I've
cut through the
seen.
saran,
Yeah, I've seen that.
fold it. Yeah, there's a couple techniques, I guess, but the rice gets super sticky. That's the hardest part.
Cool. All right, let me see if there's any pictures. I mean, pictures. I read a question about pictures. If there's any questions, the question about pictures was, where was
Hmm.
it? You as a photographer, is there somebody else whose photography of board games you follow? It's a really narrow question. I don't know if you do.
Okay. I don't. I wouldn't say specifically. No. I mean, the photography that I enjoy the most is like landscapes and cityscapes. So inanimate objects. Even though our job as photographers is filming or photographing humans, which is fine. I enjoy that obviously, but I really like being able to set up a shot, take my time, plan the time of the day to take the picture, get the sunlight just right, have the sun peeking over, a building or whatever. So that's my preferred method, inanimate objects of some kind.
You like wide shots too, it sounds like. Is that your
I like a lot of
usual?
wide shots. Yeah, and I always bring like a telephoto with me now, which so like getting like tight shots and detail shots of buildings and things is it's a lot of times gets overlooked. So I kind of like kind of getting that perspective too, because you don't necessarily see that often, especially if you're just like a casual traveler or a casual photographer.
Yeah,
Usually you're like, oh, I want to see everything, but if you put too much into a picture, then things get lost and missed and things. So
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I liked back. I mean, this was like before the advent of smartphones where everybody had a camera.
right,
I must have been in high school. I used to enjoy as a hobby um, getting a roll of film,
oh yeah,
and every now and then, like whenever the mood would strike me, I would get a
yeah,
roll. Sometimes color, sometimes I felt like shooting a black and white roll, and I
yeah,
would shoot that over a couple of weeks, maybe a week, a couple of
yeah.
weeks. And I
That's
really
cool.
enjoyed doing that. I don't know, it was a nice sort of soul cleanse a little bit. Like it's
Yeah,
like an artistic outlet that I really enjoyed, and I remember distinctly to this day that whenever I was in the process of shooting a roll of film, whenever I decided to do it and I loaded it up, bought it, loaded it up, and I was doing that for that week or 2 weeks, I remember that I would look at everything slightly differently. Like I was in a
yeah,
different
oh yeah,
headspace, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, that's true. Very
I
true.
just sort of like noticed things differently. I was like, you would start
Oh yeah,
sort of like seeing things not just as you normally did, but like you'd start thinking
yeah,
about composition and lighting, and you
oh yeah,
start worrying
all the
about all
time.
these things. So
Yeah, I mean, anytime we
yeah,
go anywhere, we're like, oh, that'd be a nice place to shoot a family
yeah,
or photograph a family, I should say. I should probably specify photograph a family. But we'll go like over a bridge and be like, oh, that's a really neat angle. This is a really neat bridge for people to be on. It's like nobody's thinking that. We're
yeah.
we're just like, yeah, that'd be great. We'll put them right here, we'll put them there. So we're kind of always scouting the
I think it's great. That's neat.
back to.
All right, let's see. I've got here a question from Mohammed. Have you played 51st State, Randy?
I have not played 51st State, nor any of the similar board games to them, like what Imperial Settlers and
Yeah.
um,
Um,
I've played various card games that are kind of like that building aspect, but nothing in that same family, if you will.
well, Mohammed is asking if I would recommend the 51st State experience uh, for a solo player. If I would recommend the game just for the solo experience, is what the question is. I don't think so. I think it's got a decent solo play mode to it. I don't think I would recommend you jump into it with no expectation of ever playing it with, say, two players. You're just
Okay.
intending to play it solitaire. I think there are better options for that. I mean, I would even recommend everything else being the same. If it's not like the theme is the thing that does it for you, just the gameplay, I would recommend Empires of the North first. That's got a better
Hmm.
solo play. So
But you like 51st State in general better, right? But you
I
like the solo better of Empires?
right, exactly.
Yeah,
All right, we got a sushi conversation going. I like it.
that's right. Sushi's where it's at.
All right, Kabuki Kit's got a good one here. What is your biggest hobby outside of gaming, Randy? You can't say photography
Honestly,
because you
it's probably photography though.
you do that
Although I
for
don't do that nearly as much.
you get paid for it.
Um, that's true.
You not a
And
hobby.
I don't photograph. Yeah, I don't photograph as much as a hobby now that I do it as a side job. So
Right.
there's that. Besides that, maybe something to do with probably RC cars would probably be the next hobby type thing.
That's cool.
All of our kids have some hobby grade RC cars, and we kind of just tool around in the yard and upgrade them and change out parts and things. So that's
Really?
probably the next closest hobby thing. You know,
That's pretty
besides
cool.
photography, because that would probably be number one.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's a lot of
must.
fun.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got like a couple of we got like a couple of like monster truck ones, and I have what's called a stadium truck, or not a stadium truck, a trophy truck, like the ones that are like in the dirt. You see like the full size ones. They're like they're 4-wheel drive. Well, some of them are 2-wheel, but and they're like kind of like a truck looking thing, but they do a lot of like dirt racing.
Okay.
So I do that one. So it's called a Slash. It's the one
How
that I
big
happen to
is this
have.
thing?
So we race mostly 1/10 scale, so they're about that big, about
Yeah,
that big or so.
pretty big. Okay.
Um, yeah, so usually I do what's called bashing, which is just kind of just putzing around in the yard. So you kind of you beat it up, you do flips, you turn it over, you're just kind of tooling through the grass and the gravel or whatever. And so I have it mostly set up for that. So I have it geared real low, so it has lots of torque, but it still does like 40, 50 miles per hour in the grass.
What?
Um, but yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Whoa.
it's tuned. Yeah, it's pretty fast. Pretty fast. You can, if you tune it down and you put the full battery packs on. This one has a 5S that can go in it, which is like a 5-cell battery essentially, and you can get them to go 70, 80 miles per hour on the street. They're pretty fun. Yeah,
How
it's
much
fun.
range do you have on this thing?
So you it'll go farther than you can see it, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't I don't know what the full range is like in practice. I'm sure they're rated for X number of feet, but I wouldn't go any farther than where I could barely see it, in my vision. So
Huh.
it'll go at least that far.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I like that, man. That's
And all the
neat.
kiddos have them. So theirs are a little bit slower, not much slower, but theirs are a little bit slower. And they're pretty good at them actually. We have a lot of fun doing it.
That's a
But
cool one. I hadn't heard that one from anybody. I dig it.
yeah.
All right, we got a question here. Let's get rid of this one. That says Randy from Daniel is asking Randy, have you ever done any astrophotography?
I have done some, but mostly just with a kind of a standard telephoto set. So like I have a 100 to 400 lens, and so you can get some pretty good shots of like the moon and things like that. But I've never gone into like nebula or anything like that. I did take some pictures of like the eclipse and things with the proper filters on it and everything. I've done that, but I've never gotten into like nebula or star clusters and that. It's always been something interesting because you can get these adapters for the camera that go onto a telescope, and you can photograph way out. Um, the thing with astrophotography, you wouldn't normally think it, but the sensors in the camera heat up a lot because you have to have the camera open for so long.
Okay.
So they actually make cameras that are better designed for astrophotography, gives you less noise in the image and things. Um, it's not that huge of a difference, but if you do it on a regular basis, you definitely want
Sure.
one. But mostly like moon and like eclipses and things. That's mostly what I've done as far as astrophotography.
That's cool.
But it's a neat thing. I did see somebody, and I want to answer this because
Yeah.
I have a game that a lot of people don't hear of. What's
Yeah,
my
yeah, go
favorite
for it.
racing game?
Okay.
My favorite racing game is Championship Formula Racing because I'm a huge F1
Is that the card
fan.
game? The kind of
It's
smallish card
so
game?
it's no, it's actually pretty big. It's got a full size board,
Oh,
and you put down um, you have a certain amount of acceleration and deceleration that you can do. You have a certain top speed, and you have when you corner and you have to spend wear for your tires. So there's almost like a wear pattern on the tires. It's kind of a simulation racing game. It's not like super hardcore, but it's definitely like a simulation racing, and it really simulates F1 a lot. So if you have any interest in F1 or any kind of a realistic racing, CFR Championship Formula Racing is definitely one to check out.
I feel like I've seen
It's
that
good.
title, but I thought it was a. In my head, I'm thinking
There's one,
I must be thinking of something else, which is like a smallish card game, but this is not that,
yeah,
obviously.
it's
Uh,
based off of another game. Um,
is it new?
I
Is it
cannot for the life
newish,
of me remember.
or has it been around?
CFR's been around for maybe a couple of years or so, 2, 3 years maybe. The original that it's based off of has been around, I want to say 15 plus years or so.
Okay.
Um, I cannot for life of me remember what the heck it's called, but yeah, CFR
Yeah,
is the better one regardless, and the one that's more widely available. So
I know they just came out with that a reprint of the Rallyman game, Rallyman GT. I think
yeah,
that's what
that
it's
looks
called
good.
now. Have you
That looks
checked that
good.
out?
Yep. I have not. I've looked at it. I didn't back the Kickstarter. I might have to go back and see if they have a late pledge because that would be right up my alley.
Yeah, yeah.
I like racing in general, mostly like formula racing, which is like the kind of like an IndyCar looking thing, but it's really like the top tier racing of the world. Um, I love F1,
That's cool. Yeah. So speaking of
which
that,
they
I know
have
that
stopped.
I know this wasn't F1, but did you see Ford versus Ferrari the movie? Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's good. I
Did
liked
you
it.
like
I think
it?
it's a
Yeah,
solid movie.
I liked
Yeah,
it. I enjoyed that
yeah, that's
movie a
like
lot.
touring racing, that's like Le Mans.
Yeah, right,
But
right.
that's still the kind of racing I like, where it's a lot of stopping, starting. Like NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan at all.
Yeah.
I think it's fine, but I don't really ever watch it. They do a street circuit or something, I'll watch it usually, but um, I like the turns, the constant starting, stopping. That's more my thing.
All right, let's see what we've got
Speed circuit,
here.
mark there, speed circuit. That's it. Speed circuit's what it's based off of.
Speed
That
Circuit.
form CFR, yeah. And I've not
Hmm.
played Formula D before, actually.
You've never
I
played
played
it,
a number of
really?
other. Yeah, that's I there's a lot of like more classic games that I haven't played because I've only been in the hobby for maybe 5 or 6 years. And so when I was looking at games, it was generally, the new hotness is usually what kind of pops up when you're looking, oh, best board games now, and um, so I've kind of missed out on some of the older ones that are older than 6 years, and I've only kind of randomly picked out a few that are in that 10 or more year range. But
I
I've
like
definitely gone back to some classics.
I like some racing games. I like the genre. I tend to like I think I like the opposite of what you like. I tend to like the ones that are not necessarily closer to simulations. They are arcade racers, right? They're closer to
Sure,
just sort of
yeah,
hit the gas and go.
right.
One of those that I really enjoy is actually a boat racing game. I don't know if you've played Power Boats. I think is what it's called. Have you played
Powerboat.
that
No,
one?
I've seen that one. I have not actually played it though.
That's good. It's got a fun push your luck kind of mechanism to control how fast or how slow you go, and it's super quick, which I like too. It's not,
Yeah,
I like racing games to be pretty speedy. It kind of fits the mood,
sure.
and yeah, Powerboats is a good one. You're just sort of manipulating
Like,
your dice pool, but the dice are only three-sided dice, so they're kind of
okay,
funky. They're these cool funky dice, and on your turn, all
sure.
you're doing is you can add one or you can subtract one, and then you can re-roll as many as you want. So you have kind of an
Oh,
idea of how much you want to speed up, how much you want to slow down. If you really want to slam it on a long, before you get to the next buoy, there's no islands in the way, no
right.
obstructions. It's just a straight shot. You can just every time it's your turn, add a die, re-roll your ones, right? Just try to pick up speed.
That's cool.
But then
That's cool. I like
that you're
that.
gonna have to slow down. It's gonna take a few turns. You can take away a die and re-roll your
Yep.
threes. They might come up threes again. So it's a neat one.
Got to be
I
careful.
think you'd like
Yeah,
it.
Snowtails is another fun one too.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
yeah. Snowtails is really good. And then
Having like speed limits and stuff on the turns and things. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And then I like Downforce. Which is it's very
Yeah,
quick and light.
kind of a betting game almost more. It's kind of a half and half kind of a thing. Yeah,
Right.
I like that one.
All right. Let's see. Nathan is asking a question here, and I guess we can do it both ways. Randy, do you ever want to buy a game, but Ellen says no? Um,
The
or
answer to that
I guess
is
vice versa too.
Ellen has been completely open with any game I've ever wanted to buy. So I'm quite fortunate, and I do probably 95% of the buying of games
Yeah,
anyway. So it doesn't ever happen. If Ellen says she wants a game, I'm like, yeah, yeah, yep, 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 yep. You can get it, sure. Let's do that. I guess there are to a degree. There's games that there's not very many games. There's maybe a couple of games that have come up that I go, yeah, Ellen's just not going to want to play that.
Yeah, I guess like
And, I won't even bother,
yeah, because I guess at the end of the
but it
day you
doesn't
can
happen
buy
very
it,
often.
but it might not hit the table, right? That's the thing to think
That's the
about,
thing, right?
really. Do you guys have pretty distinct tastes between you two?
No, we pretty much, I mean, we honestly like almost everything
It's
the
about the
same. Now,
same
she'll
type of
like
game.
certain things. Yeah, I like the heavier stuff in general more, and she plays like anything I've brought up, and she likes them and everything. But she's more towards the middleweight is what she prefers.
Right.
So like kind of like a Parks level or Istanbul, something kind of like in that kind of weight range. But I love all those things. I mean, but Euro games, we're very much both very Euro game. If it's a Euro game of any kind, easy or hard, we'll try it.
Yeah. Good. Awesome.
We're
That's
very
the
fortunate to have
yeah,
the same
right.
taste.
That's the best you can get, man. All right, here we go with this classic question from Kabuki Kit, which is actually a bunch of questions put together.
Yes.
Which is
Oof, is that allowed?
name one of each. We're letting Kabuki Kid do it because it's her, but that's nobody else
It's,
gets to.
yeah,
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 that's it.
she's always around.
Right, that's okay then. She's earned it. So the question is name one of each that is one of your favorites. So it doesn't have to be the absolute favorite because I find people slow
Okay,
down and don't know what to say, but you can say that.
right.
So favorite movie, a favorite TV show, book, author, video game, and then a band slash artist, musical
Okay.
artist.
Uh,
So let's start with movie. What do
Favorite.
you got?
Well, yeah, yeah. You keep track of the
I got
questions.
you.
Favorite movie. Probably Star Wars, and if you want me to break down which Star Wars, it would have
Yeah.
to be probably Empire Strikes Back, which is probably the cliche one of the Star Wars to say, but it is definitely my
Yes.
favorite.
You're supposed to say, it's been long enough where now you're supposed to say The Phantom Menace. You're supposed to say
Oh
The
yeah, the
Phantom
Phantom
Menace and then be
Menace.
like, everybody liked it when it came out, but then they all hated it. Well, I liked it, and I still like it, and it's
I
my
liked it when it came
favorite.
out. I still think it's fine. I'm definitely not very stingy on the Star Wars, and if anything, I'm more stingy on the newest trilogy, and I
Really?
don't know why. I don't know why.
That
It's not.
blows
I like them. I definitely
that
like them,
blows
but
my mind. Anybody, I'm sorry,
I was just the
I don't
most
get it.
critical on them for some reason.
Anybody who says that the new
I think they're fine.
trilogy,
I watched them. I've watched them multiple times, and
me,
I
me
do
too.
enjoy them greatly still. But I just for some reason I'm more critical of them. I have no idea why. I really don't.
I think the new
I'm like
trilogy,
I objectively know that the previous trilogy is not good.
it's
You know,
not overall.
and right overall as a objective third party, but for some reason I'm more critical of the newest ones.
I think the
I
new
don't know.
three are so much better than the previous trilogy. It blows my mind that some people
Yeah,
were when these came out, like The Last Jedi got a lot of hate. When it came out, people were saying this is the worst Star Wars movie that's been made. I'm like, are you?
yeah,
No way, not worse than the
yeah.
the prequel trilogy. Ugh. Anyway, all right, Star
Well,
Wars
I'll
for
put it
you.
this way: if I watch the newest trilogy, I would watch the newest trilogy over the prequel trilogy any day.
That's right.
But just in the back of my mind, I'm just like, I don't know. It's just maybe I just wasn't 100% satisfied with them. I don't know. But anyway,
I
that's
thought
probably
they were,
enough Star Wars talk. Sure.
I thought they were okay. I thought the new ones were pretty good overall. They
Yeah,
were pretty good. I guess for me, if I had to pick a movie, I've already done this a few times, so I keep picking new movies.
there you go.
I keep changing. I'll just say like whatever
That's
else
awesome.
that I also
Great.
like. But I'm gonna say, let's see. I've already said Terminator 2: Judgment Day. I've said Shawshank Redemption. I've already
That's a good one.
said Apollo 13.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna say. I'll go with another Stephen King adaptation, also with Tom Hanks. I'll go with The Green Mile.
That's a great one too.
All right, so
All
favorite
good
TV.
choices.
They're all good, right? Yeah, I do like my movies. TV show, favorite TV show.
Seinfeld, 100%.
Seinfeld.
No question. Oh yeah, 100%. I've seen them all probably multiple times over the years.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Just I quote more lines from that TV series than any other TV series by a mile. Seinfeld.
All right. Do you like the oh, what's it called? The series from the writer, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Do you like that?
I have seen a couple of those seasons, and I think they're good. I think they're good. I more enjoy certain scenes from the series versus the series as a whole. So I think there's a couple of really good scenes, and I'll quote those. I'll watch those kind of on YouTube or something. But the series as a whole, I thought was fine. I thought it
Right.
was okay.
Right.
Yeah,
It was a little less structured than Seinfeld ever was. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
I guess for me, I've already said, like I said, a few, and I will say, gosh, I'm running out of series. I don't watch that much TV shows. I don't watch that many, but I'm gonna say the first few seasons of Battlestar Galactica. I'll say that. Like
I just started that.
yeah,
I
it gets
just started the
progressively
series.
worse. I think.
Okay, all right,
So the good seasons of that, I'll go with that. All right, next
sure.
up,
All
book.
right.
Favorite book.
Favorite book. I hesitate to say it because the third one has not come out for 10 years. But the Name of the Winds, King Killer Chronicles, that series. There's only been two out, and obviously anybody that brings up the third book, um, there's much um, anticipation for the third one. But
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite book.
Who's the
Like
writer for
probably the
that?
Name of the Wind. Patrick Rothfuss.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so that's what those that talk
Yeah.
game is from those books, right?
Um,
Or
which
one of
game?
his. It's that talk
I'm
game.
trying to think.
It's from a
I
series of
don't
his.
recall that.
People will correct
I
me
know
in the
there's some.
comments. It's fine.
I know there's a couple of games that came out from like Mistborn, like the Mistborn series and Reckoners and that from that guy.
Sure, sure.
That is I don't remember that guy's name
That's
now.
something
I like that
else.
series a lot too. Yeah, the other
That's
series,
Sanderson, I think.
Brand
Something.
Sanderson. Yeah,
Yeah.
Way of Kings is one of the ones that's probably maybe my second.
Okay.
That series is fantastic.
I like sci-fi and horror to read. I hate watching horror. I don't like those movies,
Sure,
but I like reading it. I don't really like reading fantasy. I find it samey when I'm reading it.
can
That's
get
probably
very
because
samey.
I read uh, a lot of when I was in high school because of someone who was with me in high school and liked fantasy. I therefore read a lot of Piers Anthony, and that stuff is horrid. It's really bad.
Sure.
It's like the same.
Yeah, no, I
I
haven't read
read a
it.
few, and they're all the
Oh, Brand
same
and Sanderson.
book. They're all the same book.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's probably why I don't like that stuff. But I'm gonna say a book that I really like. I don't know. Trying to think of something that I haven't mentioned before. I have no idea. Let's move on to author. I have an author in
Sure.
mind. What do you got?
Best author.
Yeah.
Um, Best author might actually be Brandon Sanderson, just because I like a lot of his series that have come out. And he's the one that does Mistborn, and he does Way of the Wind or Way of Kings. So that's probably it. I easily read more of his books than anybody else's, so I would probably lean towards that being my favorite author
Huh.
overall.
All right.
I read a lot of fantasy books. So.
I'm gonna go with a horror writer by the name of Richard Lehman. That's who I'm gonna say. I've already said
Okay.
Stephen King and I said Michael Crichton in the past, both of whom I like more, but I've already said them.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
um,
Can't say him again.
can't say them again. All right, video game. Do you play a lot of video games? Are you much of a video
Uh,
gamer?
I I used to play video games a ton, like all the time. Like I was at one point, I was like top 2,000 ranked in Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Whoa.
And I would just play like all the time. Yeah, like at least online, not like in a any kind of official circuits or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
I was really, really good at it. I love first person shooters, but the game that probably my favorite game of all time is probably Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh. So
And a lot of because that was at the
somebody's pretty
prime
happy
age
about
when
a
that
new
game came out
remake then,
too.
huh?
Yeah, they have it all re-rendered and everything. So I think I might actually. I tried to pick it up a couple of times since, but every time I think about grinding all those hours of fighting, uh, that's I usually stop like a few hours in. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this again. It's a lot of grinding, a lot
Yeah,
of
but the
grinding.
new, are you talking about the
I played
new
that.
remake?
They have a new like the new remake that's completely remastered. They've remade it a couple of times in various platforms, but there's like it might have already come out, but there's like it's like a brand new remake.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
really well.
it looks
Yeah,
amazing. I heard it was really hard to get your hands on a physical copy, so
yeah.
yeah, I played back in the day on a PS1. I played some Final Fantasy VII. I thought it was
Funny
fine.
story. I had the yeah. Final Fantasy's just been my. I've played every single Final Fantasy except for the MMOs since they've come out. It's my easily my favorite series. I had the Black Label PS1 disc, which is they came out with the green label, which is like the greatest hits.
Oh,
So they
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
reprinted
sure.
it essentially.
Right, right, I
So I
got you.
had the Black Label one many years after, and I sold that thing for $120 online.
Yeah,
And it was like when PS3 was out.
yeah,
It's like that sought after that Black Label. I'm like, sure, $120, I
yeah,
take
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
please.
No, that game was a massive hit, and it's weird that
Multiple
it would
discs.
be. It's weird that it would be that expensive because it's not like it's a rare game. Like, I mean, it's not like it was an indie, kind of tiny,
Right.
nobody played it, but it got good buzz kind of game. Everybody played
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII, so they must have made
Oh yeah,
a ton of them. I
I
guess
know.
maybe people
I
just
agree with
aren't
you.
letting them go. I'm thinking the price is that
And
high because
maybe yeah,
nobody's
and maybe I
selling
hit
it.
just the right time. Maybe I hit just the right time. Like there could be thousands and thousands of copies in people's basements, but there's only a few people selling them. And it
Right.
had to be the Black Label. Green Label one was going for like 50, $60. It had to be the Black Label,
Huh. That's
the
interesting.
original.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Completely the same game.
Yeah, same thing, right? It's just greatest hits. It's
Yeah,
now got that new label and it's
yeah,
cheaper. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. For me, I've already said Fallout 3 is my favorite game, and I was playing some Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man. So let me see. Let me mix it up. I'm gonna say something I've really been enjoying or have enjoyed in the past. Um, what am I gonna go with here? Hmm. All right, I'm gonna go with an RPG also because you said RPGs. I'm gonna go with the Witcher games. Those are really good.
I have not tried those, but I heard they're fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I tried playing one even with the first one on the computer, which I'm not much of a computer player, but I got it on Steam, super cheap, dirt cheap, and it's okay. It's not really the same thing. It's kind of like going back to a series before it took off and you go
Yeah,
back to the previous
yeah,
games to start as sort of to
yeah.
as a completionist check it out. It's okay. But Witcher 2 and
I've
Witcher 3 are great.
I've tried to do that on a couple of series, for instance, like Assassin's Creed, and I got a little while in, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna play the newer ones. I
Yeah.
don't need to know the story. I don't really care that much about video game stories anyway.
No, no, right.
There's no like moments that happen that go, oh man, I don't really get that personally from games. I just which is very much how I play board games too. I'm very mechanically. If it's not mechanically good, I won't play it for any reason.
That's funny because you like reading fantasy, which is all about that.
Yeah, I know, I know,
I'm like that
I
though.
know.
Like I
I'm
said,
with
I
you.
like reading horror, but I don't hate watching it.
Yeah,
So I get it. It just depends on the medium, that
I
you're
love the stories
consuming
in
something in.
books. Yeah, yeah. If the book doesn't have a great story, I mean, obviously you're reading a book for the story, so it makes sense. But
Sure.
it's got to be like specifically engaging to me. Otherwise, I'm out on books. I can put a book down after 3 chapters without any issue. And go, nah, this isn't for me.
Oh, I have a hard time doing that with anything, actually. If I start something, I'll give up. I mean, I have, but it's
Sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like okay,
If I get past if I get past like 3, 4 chapters, I'm in it. I'm like stuck to it. I'm like I can't put it down. But I
yeah,
usually do a lot of research before I grab books, so
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, 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 right.
I don't have a lot of time to read in general. So I usually want to be pretty sure that I'm gonna like it before I pick it up anyway.
All right, what about a band or an artist? That's our last one.
Hmm. Yeah, I am. I am terrible at band names. I am terrible at artist names. I listen to music and I can sing 2 lines from just about any song on the planet, but that's it.
Yeah.
So pulling out a band name,
Okay, what kind of
I
music?
guess I'll pull.
Pick a kind of
Yeah,
music.
so I like indie music
All right.
in general, and not the like really off the wall indie stuff, but some of this like the I guess like OAR, or
I have no idea
Ben
what
Folk
OAR
kind
is.
of.
So,
Yeah.
are you talking about like coffee
They're
house
actually
music,
fairly.
that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that kind of. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's generally what I pull for. What's that? Who makes Bloom? Um,
Flowers do that.
there's a song called there's a song called Bloom that I really like. Paper Kites, I think they are. I like them a lot.
I
And
like.
I'm not an indie because it's indie kind of a guy.
Yeah, you
I
just like
just
the way it
enjoy that
sounds.
general.
Yeah. No,
Right.
if you were an indie because you want to be all into the indie, you'd know the band names. Believe
Yeah,
me. That's
that's accurate. See, so I've proven my point. Yeah.
yeah. No, you have. You have. All right. Let's go ahead and move on then. Let's do some rapid fire questions so
Hmm.
we can actually catch up here. Da 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 ba ba
Yeah.
da ba. Let's see. All right, I am way behind because my the program I'm streaming this with will not scroll comments unless I do so manually,
Oh,
which is good because then I don't lose my
that's fun.
place.
That's true.
Um, so I am doing that right now, y'all. Da 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 da.
Gator Dave OAR used to come to Summerfest like all the time. So yeah, we would catch them live almost every year. They're part of how I got the how I like them a lot. I used to listen to a lot of punk too, like Good Charlotte, Sum 41,
Ah,
Green Day.
Green Day, old Green Day. Yeah, I was never
Oh
too
yeah,
into
yeah.
punk. I never really liked punk too much. I liked alternative music, rock, just hard rock, and then I got into some electronica, some industrial music, but punk I was not a big punk fan too much. I had like I think I had a one Green Day album, but all right, let's see. So Kabuki Kit just bought Outer Worlds, a video game I recommended, but it's not here yet, so I guess I'll hear about that later. See if she likes it.
Hmm.
Um, Burger Beard, which is a super weird name, but all right, is saying that they were surprised Ishtar didn't make my best games of 2019. Where did it rank for me? I don't know, top 20, top 25 in there somewhere. I like it, but it's not one I own. It's not one I've purchased, so there you go. There's also that. Okay, let's see. Is anyone backing Ankh? I'm not yet. I'm actually still debating it. Are you guys? No? Okay.
No, not my kind of game. I would play it, but it's definitely not what I'd buy.
All right, let's see. Nick is asking Randy, what is the longest exposure you've done for a photograph?
So 30 seconds is probably the longest like single exposure that I've done. But I've done a number of star trail pictures, which is taking 20 to 30-second photos and stitching them together. So I'll take a star trail photo over like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and it'll be a picture every 30 seconds. So you have hundreds and hundreds of pictures that you bring into a program and it stitches them together. And it's the star trails. If you're not familiar, it's like where a star looks like it's streaking across the
Sure.
sky, and obviously, as the world's turning, the stars stay put, and then that beam of light looks like a streak. So the longest single exposure is probably about 20, 30 seconds, but I've stitched them together for hours.
That's cool. Yeah. Um. All right. Let's see. What legacy game would you recommend if you had to recommend one?
Um, I only played a couple. I mean, I thought Pandemic was quite good. We never actually finished it, mostly because Ellen is not a Pandemic fan, as I think we probably have discussed on a
Yeah,
number of occasions. Uh, but I thought that one was a good, um, revealing kind of a story. I like that one.
me too. That's my pick as well. Pandemic Season 1. If you haven't played either Season 1, I am about a third of the way through my. Maybe a third or like halfway through my third play of a copy of that
Ooh,
game. And
cool.
it's kind of
Is
happened
it
this.
still interesting?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just sort of like I
Like,
take
I
a
mean,
kind of
obviously
a
the game
back
is fun,
seat. I
but
take a little bit of a back seat to
okay,
making big
that's
choices.
cool.
But other than
That
that,
makes sense.
yeah.
I like actually Maracaibo is not Legacy by any means, but it's got like a campaign deck in it, and it's got
Okay.
an ever evolving kind of board. So like,
Hmm.
you know, there's places that you go. There's like cities and villages essentially. So sometimes like a village will become a city. There will be like a storm that will make you, spend extra movement to get into the place.
Okay.
We've only played a couple of games of it so far, so I don't know everything that's involved, and I wouldn't spoil it anyway. But so it's kind of like an evolving campaign, but it's nothing's permanent. So
But
that I
it
like that kind of.
retains things from game to game.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll end up being replaced or switched or whatever, and you
That's
put them like
cool.
in a little separate bag. And it's really easy to either play with it or not. So if you want to whip out a game with somebody that hasn't played before, you don't want to introduce that specific thing. It's easy to not play with it or play with
Hmm.
it. So it's not like super heavy to set up if you're doing the campaign. I generally enjoy that kind of idea better than a straight legacy game.
I like that. That sounds good. I haven't played Maracaibo yet.
It's good. I like it a lot. Yeah.
All right, let's see. I got any
Ellen says
thought?
boo pandemic.
Boo pandemic, whatever. She doesn't know what she's talking
Yeah.
about. Somebody's asking any thought on Deus. They would like to buy it, but they're not sure if it's good. I would recommend it. It's one of my top 10 games of all time. I think Deus is fantastic. So, but
I was
again,
not that enamored with it, but I did like it and would could recommend it. Yeah.
yeah. All right, let's see. Gator Dave is asking, is Randy a grease monkey? Are you a handy person, or you do a lot of tinkering and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of autocrossing history. So
All right.
autocrossing is like essentially parking lot racing, but they're done if you get into a good club, like we were with the SCCA, which is the Sports Car Club of America, and they
Okay.
would do some at like the stadium. So they would put out some really nice circuits. And it's in a giant parking lot, but they have chicanes and they have slaloms and all sorts of things like that. They'll have like some hairpins and some sweeping turns, and it's fairly low speed, obviously, because you're in a parking lot. But there's a lot of fast acceleration and fast braking back and forth.
Okay.
So I did a lot of that, and I loved
Huh.
it. It was so much fun. But I just got out of the habit. The friends I was hanging out with stopped doing it, so I kind of stopped along with them. I would have kept going, but yeah, yeah. And so I've done full engine swaps, engine rebuilds, transmission rebuilds.
Wow.
We've done it. We've done a lot of stuff. Yeah, yeah, a lot of fun.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I was never. I did a little bit of it with my pops, who is mainly an electrician. He did a little bit of sort of, you know, grease monkey kind of stuff, but his thing was being an electrician mainly, and so I did a little bit of
Oh,
that. But I mostly did. Not that I did a lot of it by any means, but my thing was more on the carpentry side of things. So, and again,
yeah. My
not
dad was very into carpentry. Yeah,
yeah,
so we had a full wood shop growing up.
that's
I actually
cool.
made doll size furniture for a local store that a friend of ours owned for like
Nice,
American Girl size dolls. So I'd make like
nice.
wardrobes and beds and bunk beds and things. So instead of doing like a paper route, I was making like $500 a month or more, making doll furniture out of my dad's wood shop,
That's
painting
awesome.
them and staining them and stuff. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was a great gig for a 12-year-old.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you get to be in there messing with all the tools. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, my dad helped me with some things here and there, obviously, and whatnot. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, good times.
All right, let's see. Yeah, Kabuki's talking about that power boats game I talked about, she says there's now a Power Ships sequel kind of
Hmm.
re-theme that's with spaceships instead of those boats. I have not,
Okay.
I've never seen it in person, but I know it exists. It had a, it had a Kickstarter. All right, let's see
I'd
how.
play whichever one's better mechanically.
Yeah, I think the other one, the new one, the Power Ships, has a couple of little bits and bobs that the original one didn't have, but I don't know if it's better or
Sure.
not. Uh, all right, here's a good question. Do you ever add on, like, well, it's two questions again from Kabuki Kit. What's the most you've ever spent
Jeez.
on a game, and do you ever pimp out your games with cool bits or upgrades or whatever?
All right. So the first one, the most I've ever spent on a game might be Scythe, just because I might, might be Scythe, just because those expansions were fairly pricey, and the original was somewhat pricey. I
Yeah,
think I've maybe spent at most on a single game $150 thereabouts, maybe.
yeah.
Um, and for as like pimping out a game or whatever, not generally. I I'm more of the mindset of I'll definitely do that for some games. I'll buy like the metal coins, or I'll print some 3D pieces, or I'll paint something or whatever. But generally speaking, I'd rather spend the 20, 30, $40 for all these extras on a different game, like another game to play. So I generally do it in my mind that way.
I do that too. I have very rarely. I have a couple of things for games that I sometimes I've gotten or have been gifted to me or whatever, and they're cool. To have those things is super neat. But I have very rarely gone out
Right.
of my way to bling out some game just because I like it a lot. Usually the components in the
Right.
game are fine. You know what I mean? It's not like I suddenly feel like I'm getting way less enjoyment out of the game because it's not all blinged out.
Yeah.
The one thing I
I have
might
a friend that
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying I have a friend that does that for a lot of his games, so I guess maybe I get a little bit of my fix from that. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay, yeah. If you play his copies, yeah. All right, let's see. Let me look ahead here. Let's get rid of this question. Da 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 da. How far back am I? Probably quite a bit. So there's a lot of tail wagging from Kabuki Kid because she's happy everybody's telling her they love her, and there's a lot of
Oh,
tail wagging going on.
we don't know that she's not a robot, though. I don't know if anybody's actually seen her in person. So,
Right? I know. It's just a very advanced AI. All right. Let's see.
what's our
Da-da-da-da-da.
deepest, darkest secret? I love Ellen. Don't tell anybody. I try to keep that close to the heart. Hmm.
Well, here's a good one. What do you guys say? Coke, soda, or pop?
We're from the soda region. Yep. So our area is definitely soda. Ellen comes from pop or Coke. Well, more Coke. Um, yeah, it's Coke, but or sody pop is the other thing they would say down there. But like anything is a Coke from like her grandma say, "Oh, give me a Coke," and then they'll say, "No, no, no, I want a white Coke." It's like that's a
Yeah,
Sprite,
right. If you say, "Let me get a Coke," they have to ask you what kind. Right, right.
right?
Yeah, I say soda too, but I know people who say pop. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean about 100 or so miles south of us, they're pop. So we're kind of in our own little bubble up here.
All right. Let's see here. All right. One Pip Wonder is in the chat. Either was or is saying hi. Hey,
Hmm.
just popping in to say hi. Can't stay. Okay. Thanks Z for doing the chat tonight. The daily chats are such a welcome comfort and routine. You guys have been awesome. That is very nice. Thank you so much for saying that.
People have been liking them a lot.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we're able to do something like this We were talking about this a little bit actually before we began, Randy and Ellen and I, just about like, kind of doing this until when do you do it? What's the sort of natural time frame? At the end of the day, it's just, to have something, reason to do it. The why is for that reason, to have some regularity, something here. You can't go out tonight.
Right.
There's something is going to be there. You can have on. You can pay as much attention or as little attention as you want to.
Yeah. Yep.
And I like that. It's kind of comfort food at the end of the day, right? It's something to
I
come
think it's
back
great.
to, and you can chill with us, hang out, engage, not engage, just sort of put it on as background noise. Yeah, it's good, right?
Pop in when you hear something good.
Yeah, it's just sort of comfortable, It should be anyway. We hope so. Da da da. So Ellen's saying Randy literally quotes a Seinfeld line a day.
I would agree with. I think that's actually not an overestimate.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I do at least one a day.
All right, let's see. I must be way behind. So yeah, here we go.
I
I
think you
just
are pretty
caught
far
up to
behind.
tack or talk, whatever it's called, the game
Oh
from
yeah,
that
yeah.
show.
I think I saw that.
So yes,
That was Name of the Wind, I think, or not
that
Name of the
was
Way of Kings, I think. I don't know. That was a long time ago, so I don't remember.
yeah, right. I don't know. I know I'm so far behind.
You're fine. You're running the chat. Z, you're running the stream. You can do whatever
I
you
know,
want.
but I want people to not feel like get to my question already. All right, so here's one from
That's
Gator
true.
Dave. Last movie you teared up during or after? Well,
Tear up.
first of all, I don't remember the
I don't
last
actually
time.
ever shed.
Oh, shut up. Sure you do. I don't actually remember the last time that I teared up after a movie. I don't
Okay.
think that. I mean, is that a thing? Like you've watched the
I
movie
don't know.
already, and then after you've
Sure.
seen it,
And
you're just sitting around, and then you start to cry. I've definitely cried through a
I'm
lot
not
of
sure I've
movies.
had that.
Yeah, but
Um,
after seems strange. Anyway,
I never like for movies. I don't. I obviously cried. I'm a human being, but like movies don't actually make me cry. But I've gotten plenty of times where like for things. Like for instance, like Inside Out. I don't know why. Like that was one. Like Inside Out. I think that was one that's kind of maybe somewhat common. But I've gotten choked up a couple of times when I've watched stuff, especially stuff with like kids and like bad things happening to kids. Because if I let my mind stray,
right,
I
right.
usually can kind of compartmentalize it pretty good. But if I let my mind kind of stray during some of those scenes, that could be pretty that could be
Ye-
pretty tough to watch.
yeah. No, I'm not good at doing that. I cry all the time watching movies. I don't.
That's
I'm
fine.
not
Yeah,
good at the compartmentalizing thing. You know what I mean? Like if I'm watching something and it's an emotional scene and it feels well done, right? And it is
right.
impactful. It's well written. It's emotional. I mean, it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
say, oh, this is emotional because of these very technical things. If it is emotional, it does its job well on me. Yeah, it'll get me, man. So it happens fairly frequently. I wouldn't say I cry at every movie, but it's definitely happened.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
weird. I have. There's a few movies that have a few scenes that have a very Pavlovian sort of reaction in me, and I don't know why,
sure.
because they're not necessarily emotional. Like, well, they're emotional. They're not necessarily like we're trying to pull on the heartstrings scene. I'll give you an example, so you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Wonder Woman. Near the beginning of the film,
Okay.
there's a part. I hope I'm not spoiling it. Again, this is the first 20 minutes.
It's been out for a while.
And near the beginning of the film, there is a part in which the men have sort of breached the island's
Mhm.
shield wall, and the Amazons are riding towards the beach on horseback. and
I
they
remember
have
this.
their arrows and they shoot their arrows. They have their ropes. They swing down to the beach. A battle ensues. I don't know what it is. Every time I see that scene, it must be a combination of the visuals and the sound. I don't know what it is. I get really emotional and I get super goosebumpy.
Hmm.
And
All
I
right, yeah.
it's not like a particularly logical thing like, oh, I'm really feeling this. I feel for the Amazons. It's fantasy, right? But it
You
does it.
really, yeah, you
It's like
can
a
really
weird
relate with those Amazon images.
yeah, it's a weird subconscious reaction, and some movies have done that to me, and I have no idea how to explain it. But to
Yeah.
answer the question, Gator Dave, I cry all the time, man. I don't
Hmm.
even remember. All the time. Now we're talking about Pierce Anthony, who sucks. What else have we got? Ellen likes watching you play video games, she says.
Which I'm shocked about. In fact, I just bought Dragon Quest 11, so that based off of, I thought it would be one that she would get a kick out of watching. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
played a Dragon Quest game since the original for any NES, like back in the 80s.
You never played Dragon Quest Builders? That was good stuff.
I heard it was supposed to be good, but no, yeah, like I played the four originals for NES, and the US ports were called Dragon Warrior, and the Japanese Japanese were Dragon Quest. But I played one through four,
Yeah.
and that came out between like 80 and 91 or something like that. Those are great games, though.
I've played some of them. I forget which ones back in the day. Yeah, but Dragon Quest
Yeah,
Builders was really good. You should check it out if you like.
I'll check that out.
It's kind of like what's the super popular building game that looks terrible?
Minecraft,
Yeah, it's kind of like
Terraria.
yeah Minecraft. It's kind of like Minecraft, but with better looks and a story. Kind of a story, and you're not just building, but there's little quests you can go in. But it's largely about building.
That seems more. Yeah, I like Terraria. Yeah, as far as those kind of like that genre, you could build stuff, but it's mostly like questing or finding
Okay.
new weapons and going into boss battles and stuff. I like that kind of stuff better.
Um. All right, let's see where we at. Spider-Man for the PS4 is so good. That is correct. I agree with
I
that.
have not bought the latest generation consoles,
So what are you playing
like
on
the PS4, PC usually.
PC? Okay.
Yeah, and then now the Switch. I love Mario, Zelda, any games in those series I love. So the Switch is I played that a lot.
So you guys doing Animal Crossing?
No, I'm not sure if I'd like it or not, and I haven't. I think my kids would
And
really
Ellen
get a kick
hasn't
out of it.
played that yet?
She doesn't play video games. Like
Ah.
she'll play like she likes these Nancy Drew games that are like a detective kind of a like a like a Shadowrun kind of a you do something. It's kind of like a basically it's like a text game. You do a
Yeah,
text
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you go to the next room. Thing. So she gets a kick out of those. But that's pretty
Okay.
much all I've ever really seen her play. So
All right. Cora Lou here is asking, what games did Randy, Ellen, and Z play together on the cruise?
the only game that we played all of us together was that tile laying
Yeah.
game with the ships. I don't remember the
Yes.
name of it.
Let's see where it is.
Um,
Let me see. I think it's this
Small
one.
Islands or something like that.
Good,
Tiny Island,
good
Small Island,
memory, man. You got it.
something like that. Yeah.
Small
Yeah, that was fun. I
Islands.
like that. That's the only one that we all three of us played together. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Ellen played Demon Worker with you, and I don't know if you guys played anything else besides that. But
Yeah, we played Demon Worker. We might have played something else, but yeah, we played Mike Delisio, and I played Demon Worker. At least that one, and then we all played Small Islands. Yeah,
that was fun. Though. I like
yeah. I'm
that.
glad we got to do something together like that. Yeah,
It was late in the cruise schedule
it
too
was.
before we
It's
actually
almost
got all
done. Yeah.
together.
All right. Just catching up here, folks. Uh, Okay, Dean is asking Z or Randy, has anyone offered you money for a board game and did you part with it? I was offered money for my Star Wars Queen's Gambit, but didn't sell it.
Mhm.
Where they
Um,
initiate, I guess is the question. Where they initiate asking.
yeah, yeah, I hear you.
I've had that happen to me, but that's
Um,
partly because I review, because I review so many games. So if somebody will see something I
yeah,
reviewed, maybe it's hard to get or whatever, and then I'll get like a geek mail from somebody who's like, "Hey, I saw you review this. If you don't want it, I want to buy it."
sure,
That kind of thing.
sure. That's okay.
I don't always respond to those, honestly. I'm busy and sometimes I just don't have the
Yeah,
time to go through and be like, "Oh no, sorry, not my copy. It's work's copy. Can't sell it to you." Um,
right.
so I just don't bother, but it's
I think the
happened.
closest I've come to is like somebody will like just see something on my shelf and go, "Hey, if you're ever gonna sell that, let me know." So it's more been a like an in person from a friend or somebody that
Okay.
we've had over for board game night. And most of the time, if it's something that I would part with, I'd go, yeah, yeah. But usually they're looking at the newer stuff that I'm still kind of in the middle of playing. They go, well, give me a few months or a year or something, and maybe I'll sell it.
Kick him out of the house at
You might
that
not
point.
want it at that point, right?
Get out of my
Get
house.
out. I just first time I've ever played this. Get out.
Uh, all right, let's see. What do we got? Oh, we were out of time, buddy. I just noticed that. Let's see what else we can answer here.
All right. I don't know Bard's
Are people
Tale
blaming?
Kabuki. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like people are blaming Kabuki Kid because their question takes a long time. Folks, I like that question. I like the favorites question. I might not take it every time, but so far I've had a really good time learning about the person I'm with. Really, honestly, um, everybody I've
Yeah,
had
that's
on
true.
with me, the answers to whatever it may be are enlightening to me. I don't know if it's interesting to other people, but I like hearing whatever folks have to say. Like now, I know you. I mean, I knew you were into photography. I know you. I knew you did that, but now I
Yeah,
know a little bit more
yeah.
about what you do and what you like. But outside of that, now I know about the cars, and I know about the fantasy novels. So stuff.
Woodcraft, the RC cars,
Yeah, right. That's
everything.
cool.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I like those
Coraloo,
questions.
there has been a Seinfeld game, and I believe it was basically just a trivia game. And I think there's a Seinfeld DVD game that came out at some point. So basically the standard
Like
TV
seen
show
it,
fare.
one of those seen it
Yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah. I'm not even sure if it was a Cena game. That might have been like they didn't want to bother with the license. I don't know.
Yeah.
The DVD guessing game or something.
All right, let's see. So Kabuki Kid is basically answering all the questions I would have asked her if she was a guest on the show, just in chat, which I say is cheating.
Perfect.
That's cheating.
Yeah, that's treason. I don't agree with that.
All right, let's see. What do we got? Da-da. There's a good chat going on tonight, though. I'm happy to see that. Lots of
Favorite
people.
fantasy race or class?
All right, let me find it. Is that near the? Is that new?
That is, yeah, that's maybe a page or two up from the bottom.
Okay. Let me see. Favorite. Let me find it and
By
throw it up on this.
Mats Kvarnstrom. I'm sure I butchered that. I probably lean towards elf classes of some kind, and definitely
Favorite
the
fantasy
magic
race or
elf
class.
versus kind of anything else. I like when I used to do classes like for fantasy games growing up. It was always the hack and slash, not a tank, but like a warrior or a fighter of some kind. That was
Me
always
too.
my preferred class. But that is morphed into my 20s, and now obviously into now, which I'm 35. Um, the magic classes. So lots of magic spells, like offensive magic spells. That's my so some kind of an elf or something that would do something like that is more my thing.
No, I still like my barbarian.
Oh yeah,
I like the melee tanky kind of dude. Even ranged, not magic but just ranged with a bow or whatever. Even that I don't really go for
yeah,
too much. I'm talking mainly video games though, because
right,
if
yeah,
it's an
exactly.
RPG of which I've done very little, like tabletop RPG. Um, The only time I can remember doing it, only 2 times I guess I can remember doing it. I was a bard. I liked being a bard. I know it's kind of
That's cool.
not great, but I enjoyed it. I had the only time I played a decent sized sort of little campaign of Pathfinder over a few months, and then we all died, and I was like, okay, I got it out of my system. I'm done. But while it was happening, I came up with this character who was a bard, and he had. Let me see if I remember this. I think he had like a massive flute. He had a giant flute,
Okay.
but the
Sure.
flute part was the handle of an axe. And so he would,
Okay.
and I would have these great moments where I would like see a band or whatever. I'd start rocking
Yeah.
out on the flute, put them all kind of under a spell as I'm walking up to them. And then when I got close enough, I would just grab it and just whap, and just take them out with my flute axe. So
That's cool.
that was fun. You know, I
A flute
enjoyed
axe.
that. Yeah. So usually
I think if I've only done like an RPG like in a very small setting for like a very short period of time, I would definitely like to do one with all people that I know quite well and play a game that
that's
way.
the thing.
That's I would definitely like to try that at some point.
All right, everybody. Amy just gave me a virtual hug. That's awesome. Virtual hug back to you. Virtual hug
That's
to
very
everybody.
nice.
Everybody getting virtual hugs tonight.
Come on in here. Come on.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna go watch a movie and cry. That's what I do apparently.
I'm gonna play Dragon Quest XI,
Nice. Yeah.
and I have to do my taxes tomorrow.
Ugh.
So that's fun.
All right, buddy. Thanks for hanging out, Randy. It was good talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was great.
All right, I'm gonna.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody, for your questions.
Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Keep tuning back in for these. I'm hoping you're enjoying them. I'm hoping you're finding the regularity of knowing it's going to be here comforting. You know, just fun to do. So yeah, thanks Randy. Thanks to Ellen as well for hanging out in the chat and kind of hanging out there near you, bringing you that water when you were starting to fade.
I know, gosh, all of a sudden my throat was gone.
No. Oh, I shouldn't have spoken badly about the Star Wars trilogy. All right, buddy, I'm out of here. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Sports jokes. Yeah, it was good to see you guys.
All right, everybody, have a good night. Bye-bye, everyone.